So ECB had their monetary policy rate, their financing rate come out at 4.25, so they didn't change it. They also had their monetary policy statement, and doesn't seem to be causing too much of a volatility spike in the euro at this time. However, remember that it's always about the press conference. The reason is always about the press conference, whether it's the ECB, which is the European Central Bank, or the Federal Reserve or the Bank of Japan. It's all about the future, right? We're all about the future. I think it's a soundboard day, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to play around with the soundboard and it's going to be fun. So the reason it's all about the future is because markets already knew and expected this to be the case. That's why I didn't move that much. This is often, a confusing concept for newer traders. I know it confused the heck out of me for a long time. Markets are so forward looking. I was having a conversation with my wife about this yesterday. We were talking about how far ahead markets are looking. And she was a little bit like, what do you mean they're looking 6 months ahead? No one knows the future. And I was like, that is so true. And markets do get it wrong sometimes, but they're generally looking far out in terms of like forecasts and estimations of what's going to happen, so etc. No emphasis on unemployment claims. It is totally important. We got 5 minutes to go on that. Claims will be very useful this morning. Gold is wild. So speaking of gold here, as we go into this press conference from the ECB and we get unemployment claims this morning, what are we looking for? If you are like me and you would like to see gold just drift higher and higher and higher, then we want to see the ECB continue to talk about easing monetary policy and staying in line with kind of like what other central banks are doing. Like the Fed is expected to cut interest rates in September. You want to see the Central Bank of Europe, the ECB, also wanting to cut rates pretty aggressively. I bought the NASDAQ yesterday. I looked like an idiot at first, but we might be back to, I'll show you the Qs. So I went long QQQ. I think I'm still in the red now, but we came really close to stopping out on this trade, and we're triggering a little bit of we almost triggered the stop loss here, but didn't quite. Came back, and now we're just about break even. I mentioned yesterday that, my idea on the NASDAQ is I'm going to buy the NASDAQ, and if it doesn't work out, I'm going to look for a couple chances to try again. So I'm starting a campaign here on the NASDAQ. A lot of people, myself included, John Cena music, starting a campaign on the NASDAQ. The question is, do we hold 20,000? We're testing the area right now. If we don't hold 20,000, I'll stop out on this one. And I might look at it again at like 19,500 on the NAS 100 CFD. Now, I'm not trading this particular chart. I mentioned that I'm trading the Qs, or QQQ, which is a ETF that I can trade on my brokerage that I trade on, which is WeBull. Things have been crazy in the last week. We've seen the dollar fall off a cliff. We've seen, gold continue to push higher. Bitcoin even has been all over the place. We got a lot to talk about. So I guess we could jump right into it. Marko, you take the first go. What are you watching today?
Sure. So for me, can you see my charts? Okay, nice. So for me, I'm watching not the euro and US dollar. It looks pretty range bound right here on this 1 hour chart. EJ is on my list because it's overall looking a bit descending. So I'm expecting a reversal uptrend to happen. I still need the confirmation, so I need a large push and then a nice entry pattern. So that one is definitely on the watch list. AU for me is a bit flat and range bound. AJ looks even better than EJ, so I'm definitely looking to see this descending channel play out. I'm still waiting for a large push, but hopefully we get it today or tomorrow. Pound is going to be pretty flat and range bound. We had some really, really nice, extremely clean momentum that I have not seen on the pound for a long time, but unfortunately it just could not commit. Instead, it just printed a big V reversal basically. So now it's flat and range bound. And the final one is going to be NJ. It is the same story as the Aussie Japanese yen. Large descending channel, very big, so expecting a nice uptrend to start. If it does, I'll look for buy setups. So for me, I have the JPY pairs on the watch list, and that's about it. The dollar pairs are looking a bit corrective and range bound right now.
Did you know that we have 100% free trading tools and data available for you on our website, a1trading.com, right now? We have free courses for you to browse. You can also check out things like retail sentiment and free articles from our analyst Frank that include things like Edgefinder screenshots and trade setups. You can find all of this and so much more for free right now on our website, a1trading.com.
Yeah, the what you mentioned about the pound definitely seems true. I mean, this thing has been really moving like crazy, so we'll have to see where that goes. But a big thing for me was like this huge breakout right around the 1.285 level, and now we're at like a high of the last year. We've come back to levels that we were in July 2023. Yep. So it's really
finally some movement, because the pound has been really corrective in the last couple of months. I haven't had any winning setups on it.
Yeah, really making a big move there. Miko, what are your thoughts? I'm curious what you are looking at with the dollar index. We always talk about the DXY. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm pretty bearish on the dollar. The way I'm looking at it is we've had a very corrective move over the past, since the year began, really, since 2024. You had this ascending channel here, and it looks like we finally committed to the downside. I remember last Thursday we were talking about the support level, and if it breaks, it could open up the floodgates for dollar. It has broken, but I would like to see a bit more momentum, a bit more follow through to get a bit more confirmation. But the way it's looking to me, it does look like we're committing to the downside here. So going forward with the dollar, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see a huge move down, maybe back to 101 or 102 potentially. So I'm pretty bearish on the dollar going forward. So all the kind of dollar majors, pound USD, euro USD, I will be looking for bullish opportunities. Pound USD, like you mentioned, really nice breakout. I'm looking to see if we can get back here. We've been really bullish, so I'm not too sure if we'll see a pullback that big, but if it does happen, fantastic. I will be looking for opportunities. Also, as we approach this area here, I'll see how it reacts as well. Then we might just see more of a shallow pullback and price just continue. So I'll be watching pound USD there as well. Euro likewise, I'm interested in that one. Aussie dollar likewise. I like this one to the upside. It looks to me like a lot of dollar pairs are showing signs that it's going to continue to see more dollar weakness, and they're going to continue higher. So Aussie dollar as well, really nice breakout outside this range. Hopefully a decent retest of that level and some buys back to the high over there remains the plan. So yeah, I'm pretty bearish on dollar. I think we can see more of it.
Yeah, fair enough. I actually have a position on the Australian dollar right now, so we'll see where that one goes. I had two different ideas on the Australian dollar, similar to yourself, Miko. I think we have this level drawn together. I went down to the 4-hour chart. I like this zone. I bought it here. It's moved in my favor, then came all the way back down, and now is slightly positive. So we'll see what can happen with that one. But my idea with this is that if it comes down and breaks this support level, I may try again around that same level you've got marked up, around 66.80. So we'll have I like that. I like that chart as well. I guess going in our theme, the next big one is, with all this currency talk, a lot of central banks seem poised to cut interest rates this year, and metals have been on the move. So I guess we could go to gold now. Miko, Marko. We'll go to Marko first on this. Gold been trending up a lot recently. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so for gold, actually, I think gold broke out of the major high, didn't it? Yeah, it did.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. I like how it closed above this high. It's looking much more bullish than silver. Silver is, I believe, still stuck in this range, so that's not the best story. But gold has a bit of potential. What I want to see is follow through. We had a breakout, broke the high, and then closed above with a clean close. But the next candle retraced, so this might just go retrace back into the range. I want to still see a bit more commitment. So what will happen in the next couple of days, maybe the next week, will be a deciding factor. What I would forecast, or what I would like to see, is this momentum kick back in, as we saw it right here. Something like that to start again. So large bullish legs with small pullbacks, that is kind of the best story for a bullish scenario. So has a bit of potential, but still is not showing me that 100% commitment to the upside, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's better than silver. Silver looks pretty flat.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I had a long position on gold and silver. I actually trailed out of my silver position after we broke this 30.4 level. I had a stop behind it, so I did get triggered out of my silver position. And like you're saying, gold's break of the high is a good start. But for my entry here, I've got my stop loss just trailed behind this structure here where we broke out, because same to you, Marco, this is a really great start to a breakout. But if there's no follow through and it falls back under this level, that's going to just tell me like, okay, great move, but the lack of follow through is a little bit concerning. That being said, if we see, a nice, any sort of pullback and it does find momentum again before, breaking support, I'd be fine to continue holding it. So I do like gold to the upside. And I've said this many times about gold, but when gold makes its moves, it's so sudden and so continuous. So knowing that about gold, I'd like to see, to your point, when it does start to break out, the momentum is still there, like it doesn't slow, because otherwise it could enter kind of into a corrective or, even a pullback or turnaround story. So we'll see. But I do like the momentum for gold right now as it stands. So we'll see where it goes from there. But I guess same question to you, Mika. Are you watching the metals at all?
Yeah, I'm looking at silver. I feel like gold's left me behind because, as you guys said, it's creating new all-time highs here.
Yep.
So my interest is not really with gold, although things are looking very bullish right now and could probably still see higher prices. My only worry with gold is that last time we did take out the high, price was a little bit corrective, and we did have another move down. So I'm wondering maybe we could see that happen again. I think if we get some real follow through, then that will kind of disregard that possibility. But if you kind of mess around here for a little bit, my worry is that gold will pull back. But on the other hand, silver's been a bit weird, I must say. I was expecting it to kind of rally with gold and come back to the high. It hasn't quite done that. But because it's not there yet, I still expect it to get there. So buying opportunities make sense to me. However, the way price is shaping up, we're really struggling to push higher. So I'm expecting another move down for silver, and then I'll try and see if I can take some buys back up again. I'll be trading my stop loss, so I'll see how far it can go. But the way we're rejecting here looks like it might just be a shorter term move, because I've looked at some other metals, copper as well, platinum. They actually are seeing some downside. So I wonder if we might see a bigger pullback for silver, maybe even a test of this support makes sense as well before maybe a big move up. I'm still only looking for buys. But way things are shaping up is a little bit awkward. But I'm looking at the higher time frames, still looking very bullish. So I think it will be a matter of time before we get there. However, we might see a bigger pullback at some point.
Sure. I have a question for I guess both of you. But I was talking about this just before you came on the show about how, like, for me, entries. Well, not even for me, for everybody, entries are difficult. Like, getting the right entry is just hard. And in my personal opinion, I think actually even overestimated in how important they really are. Obviously, you want to take good entries. You want to time your entry as best you possibly can. But to me, like, a good entry is not absolutely make it or break it, because a lot of times for me, I'll take like one entry and maybe try again. So I've got my silver idea pulled up here. Let's just say, for example, I actually don't hate this idea. Let's say I'm willing to be bullish on silver. Like, I generally think that the direction is going to be long on silver. And let's say I take an attempt here and I put a stop loss here. Let's say this is attempt number one. And let's say attempt number two is this level here. So, like, let's say The second attempt would be a pullback down into this area where we found a lot of support previously, and we put a stop below there. So I like to personally call this like I'm opening up a campaign on a particular chart. Like my campaign is like I'm perfectly accepting that I may like I may just take this trade and it may just completely not work at all, and then maybe I get my second entry and I like that one better. Or the reason I take the campaign approach is because sometimes this actually was the right trade and it completely, makes the move.
NASDAQ, I heard you talking about that as well. It looks great technically on the H4, but there's quite a big red flag that I'm just a bit cautious of on NAS at the moment on the weekly time frame.
Okay, let's
so I'm just looking. Ready. 1 second, let me find the where's it gone? Price range here. So I'm just looking for a potential mean reversion. So we've got a very similar situation that we had sort of back in December 2021. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen by any means. I'm not saying that, this is guaranteed or I'm looking for it necessarily. It's more just something that I'm taking into consideration. So this blue line here is a 200 moving average. Mm-hmm. And we can see, obviously, the 200 is kind of like a magnet for price. We often do see when price deviates very, very far from the 200, we do see prices start correcting themselves. And this happens on all sorts of time frames. But yeah, the RSI as well, same formation. We've got, we had this overbought, pullback, and now back to overbought. So yeah, I'm not expecting this to happen really. It's just one of those things that I'm just a little bit on the edge about. So I'm just, not too comfortable going into it right now.
I got to show you something, James.
Sorry,
check this out. This is just because you're on the topic. So I pulled up the weekly chart. Here's something, and this is coming from somebody who is currently long. So I'm also, long with a stop loss for this exact reason. Check this out. So I've just drawn a trend line from the low of March of 2020 to the top of this move. And this is kind of creepy. Maybe it's just coincidence, but if I just copy and paste, look at this.
Oh yeah, it's almost 1-to-1.
It's like the perfect move that matched that crazy melt up that we saw with all the stimulus stuff. Does that make me nervous? Yes, a little bit. The other thing that makes me nervous is company valuations are very, very historically high right now. They're not at like peak 2000 bubble levels. So is there room for them to get more expensive? Yes. And price to earnings is, although it can be a general theme of when markets are expensive, it's very not good for timing. It's very difficult to, we're in a bull market. That bull market can be, way more extended than I ever think it will. Anyways, I have a long position on the NASDAQ. And if it doesn't work, my stop loss is pretty tight on this. And I am definitely not investing on this one. This is a trade. So we've got a lot of momentum here, big pullback. But I want to see this thing either snap back up and just keep being ridiculous, or if the ridiculous trade is over, I'm going to stop out. But I like the risk reward here. That's why I'm on the trade. But I'm with you on the as a overall theme. I think the market is expensive, and definitely have to be careful playing around at these levels.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, on the H4, it looks perfect. And yeah, if it wasn't for the the extremely high price, I probably would enter this. We've got the 200 moving average, which just bounced off structure. The RSI was overbought, and we also had the sort of news move here that I do see needs to be corrected. So overall, I think it's a great trade to be in. It's just a little bit on the fence at the moment.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. I feel that for sure. I think there's a lot of stuff that's been just pumping so hard recently. It's kind of a lot of people have been wanting to also get involved in like the gold trade and stuff like that. And if I wasn't in the gold trade, I wouldn't have anything to do up here because again, the market's made a huge move. I'd have to at least wait for a pullback to this previous all-time high. But yeah, it's a lot of things have just been moving parabolically. Another one that's been interesting has been the pound. The pound has made a huge move. The euro, has made a big move. We'll see if it pulls back today. Dollar yen is. What do you think about dollar yen? By the way, we saw a big slide in UJ.
I can show you my perspective on there actually. So I'm not sure if anyone in the chat was here for my past couple of streams with Nick, but essentially I've been buying the yen, selling the yen as it's been rising. So I'm in the Australian dollar yen and the US dollar yen. So these are my positions in the dollar yen. So I've actually scaled in again. And these are position trades. These aren't, day trades or swing trades. I'm not expecting this to suddenly, start rocketing up. So I'm not anyone to try and copy this. But yeah, essentially I'm just dollar cost averaging. The same on the Australian dollar yen as well, because obviously the Australian dollar is doing quite well for itself. It's performing well. Technically on the yen chart as well, this is a daily, so we're just sort of testing this resistance level as well, and we seem to be reacting quite nicely off it. And of course the economics, the data for the yen isn't particularly good. It hasn't been for a long time, so in my eyes it's still a very bullish asset. So UJ is a bullish asset to be trying to get into at the moment.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the breakdown you did there, and I actually like the Australian dollar again against the yen specifically. Of the central banks, the Australian dollar or the Australian central bank, the RBA, seems a bit more on the hawkish side compared to their peers, and I always like to keep an eye on that. We've also got a level here that we're tagging right as we speak. This 104.8 level, give or take, looks pretty interesting. So we'll see where that one goes, but I like that setup as well. And the yen, I don't know, it's been so beaten down, but that doesn't, a lot of times people will take that as like a reason for why it can't go any lower. But if you've been on that train, you've been on it for a long time. It's been going down and down and down. So, and to your point, I mean, I think we talked about this on a recent episode together, a recent show together. If we go take a look at GDP growth and we sort by JPY for a second, I mean, this is just telling the tale for me by itself. It's like growth in the Japanese economy is just not super impressive. Meanwhile, other economies, I mean, you mentioned the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. Let's take a look at the Australian economy, and you can see, it's not as impressive maybe as the US growth, but it's still positive, and Japan has, negative growth. We take a look at, just while we're on the subject, here's Europe. Here's specifically Germany. We have that. So Germany's actually not been super impressive on the GDP front. Canada, we'll see if it loads. I can hear my computer working right now, so it might take a second. Or maybe it just won't work today. I don't know. Anyways, there's the US. So this is the theme we keep coming back to with US growth, which has just been, astounding relative to peers in the last few years. We'll see if that US outperformance continues. One thing we could talk about, I don't have the data in front of me, but I saw somebody talking about how if you were to take in the last like 10, 15, 20 years or so, the US stock market has just night and day beat like everyone else's stock market. But if you were to go longer term than that, that's not always been the case. I think a lot of times people will hear that, like US outperformance and it's never going to stop kind of thing. But it probably will stop. Like there will probably be big catch-up trades at some point for other stock markets, like maybe parts of Asia, things like that. That's another thing that is sometimes fun to look into. But
did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.